Hello everyone, just doing a quick cleanup because I just finished the bag. Oh my gosh, what a mess. Hollyhock Hobo Class 3. Whoever pops in first, if you could please let me know if you can hear me, that would be fantastic. Okay, I think this is clean. Hi Rhonda, hi Dawn, can you hear me okay? And who's sewing with me today? Sound is good. Perfect. Hi Diane, how are you? Are you sewing with me today? Lots to get through. So rather than pre-recording a class, I figured that makes no sense. We will just get through as much as we can today, and whatever we don't get through, then I will record or pre-record what's left. I thought that made sense. Plus I ran out of time. Okay, so you are perfect. I know I said for everybody to do their inside pockets, and it's okay if you did that, but because I believe I promised in the very beginning I would give you guys a treat and show you a different way of doing the slip pocket. So I'm going to show that today, and because I'm doing a rounded slip pocket and I used 2 pieces of fabric, I figured, hey, it's a new thing that we don't usually do, so I'll show you how I combine 2 pieces of fabric for the slip pocket and put on over our decorative kind of bound edge, a little different than the raw edge one that I usually do. So we will do that today as well. My whole family's home. Dave is on vacation, Riley's on vacation, Brady's not working today, so there may be a little extra noise upstairs. I have my window open again. We have rain outside and it is just so refreshing that I need it open. Yeah, so we'll give it a few to see who else pops on. I know Kim won't be here today. She isn't feeling well. So yeah, we'll see. You ready for the Conan? Awesome, Rhonda. So I must apologize because I got the Conan tutorial up so late. So I ran out of time before going to Orlando. I said everything was just a mad rush because I was taking those 6 days off. But I did finish it today and it is up. So, and of course that'll be going live to the public side on Friday. So this one, the Hollyhock Hobo, even though we won't have had the final class, I make a commitment to the designers when they give me the like the discount codes and everything, that I give them a date that the tutorial will be launching. So the tutorial will launch for the Hollyhock Hobo tomorrow, and then I will also be pre-recording whatever we don't get done today. So that'll be up for you guys as well. But I just want to let you know that the tutorial will launch to the public side, even though we aren't quite done. So I apologize for that. Dawn's sewing, but not this bag. I'm doing a huge repair on Brent's old quilt. Oh my gosh, nice. Well, he's getting married. I'm excited for him, Dawn. So we'll just give it 3 minutes and then we're going to hop right in. We're going to try to have a pretty good speed. So Diane, if I am going too fast, please do stop me. If I hear nothing, I'm just going to keep on going. So I'm hoping to get the rest of the exterior panels complete today. I said they're the most involved pieces. We're going to start off nice and easy. Oh, I just realized I'm not wearing my wedding rings. I feel naked. I'm going to start off right away just showing you guys a different way of doing the slip pocket. So we will do the slip pocket today, but we won't attach it. I'll leave that for homework, and because we all know how to attach it, it's sewing on the same way. But we have the connectors to do today, the back zipper pocket to do today. I learned something with the lining fabric I'm using. If anybody orders this lining fabric from Sam Roberts, so this one here, do not iron this side. These little shiny bits are almost like vinyl, and it's I melted a piece. So yeah, if anybody orders this fabric, treat it like it's vinyl, please, please, please. I had to clean my iron and everything. It was terrible. But the fabric's nice. I just assumed it was like fabric and I could iron it, but you can't. I've been going nonstop, so I'm tired. I got a groom's wedding gift done this morning. I got the Conan tutorial up this morning. My room is a disaster, but I don't think you guys can see any of that, so that's good. Yeah. Okay, so if anybody else pops in, they can catch up. Who else was sewing with us? Annie was sewing with us. Elba was sewing with us. Kim is making it. Louise was going to sew with us, but she's not here. I know she's not feeling well either, so. Oh, don't be ashamed of that, Rhonda, working on the George Carriel from last June. That's what's great about the memberships, is because you really don't have to sew along with me. You can take the classes whenever you like, so that's fine. That's the bonus. And there are so many classes now. We've been doing this for, how long have we been doing this? Year? 2 years? Has it been 2 years or has it been 1 year? How long have I been? 1 year. Last March was 1 year. So yeah, we are getting on to 1.5 years of doing the classes, and that's a lot of classes. So I'm glad that you can go back and use that. And if you have any questions, Rhonda, you know, you can just shoot me a message and I'll help you out with that. No problem. Okay, so I'm still kind of in vacation mode. I haven't recovered from going to Orlando yet. It was great. Got to meet so many nice people. Loved meeting Lauren. Met Chinova. She is lovely. Met Monica of Casting and Handcrafted. She is lovely. Met Leslie of Jolili Designs. Lovely. I think all of us bag maker type people are just lovely. Like, oh, it was a good time. I didn't buy very much. I bought a stiletto and I got a Lauren ruler, but that is about it. It was very expensive, and there actually weren't as many vendors as I thought there would be, but honestly, I went there for the people, so it was a good time. So, okay, let me flip this down to split table. There we go. How is that? Is the camera okay? I kind of mad rush set everything up. Let me kind of push stuff out of the way. That's my pop. There you go, Dawn. That's how you can tell it was 18 months. Because Dawn's been here since day one. Crazy, hey? Crazy, crazy. Okay, so let's start off easy to get into the mood. I got to try to make this straight because it's going to drive me crazy. There we go. You can tell this table is getting well loved. Holy. Okay, so slip pocket. Where did I put my slip pocket binding? So, Diane, did you do your slip pocket already? So yeah, normally I just use one big piece of cotton and fold it in half, but because I was running out of fabric, I'm doing the lining this color and the exterior this color for my slip pocket. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these two pieces, we're going to put them right sides together. Oh, look at that bad cutting job. I'm just going to make these the same. It's fine. I feel like it's been so long since we cut this out. And we are just going to clip around this side, leaving the top open. So this is just an alternative way of doing a slip pocket. I think she does, this is actually how she does it in the pattern too, so we're kind of going along with the pattern. Except for my overlay will be, my decorative overlay will be a little different, and it's a new way that I've been doing it that I have found to be super fun, and then you only have the raw edge on the inside, so it's been nice. You already did yours, Diane? Okay, so I'll just speed through this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to sew around here with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Let me flip my cameras over. Through this part. It's kind of nice to give a different way of doing it. So 3/8 all the way around. Okay. Except for the top. We don't want to be sewing along the top. just like so. Easy peasy. Okay, and then I'm going to take my pinking shears. I was really hoping I'd find some nice pinking shears or something in So Magical, but there was nothing of that sort, so oh well. And I'm just going to go ahead and trim down these seam allowances because it's a curvy slip pocket. So in my other bag, oh Diane, you'll have to share with me your new way of doing slip pockets. That's what's great about lining pockets. That's why I let everybody kind of do their own thing with the lining pockets, because we all have our own flair and style, and yeah, it just kind of, we do them all different. So okay, I'm going to flip this right side out. I'm not going to take this to the iron because I don't think I can iron this side either. Man, oh man, this upholstery fabric is gorgeous, but yeah, don't iron this one especially. But it presses out nicely. Okay, so that looks good to me. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our overlay, and you know how normally we would fold it in half, we would have the raw edge, it would go on like that. This is another way you can do it without a raw edge. So we cut these pieces to 2 inches, and I will show you why. It gives us a little extra. So we're going to just kind of flip this right sides together. This is how I've been doing them lately. It's my new favorite way, so I'm going to have to make a tutorial on it because it's super easy. Okay. Then we're going to sew across there with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So let me flip us around. Half inch is what the border is going to be. So we want it to be at a 1/2 inch. That'll be the amount of the overlay that is showing. And then I'm going to try to show you this next step right at the machine. Okay, so this ridgy part here, the seam allowance there, we are going to use that kind of as a guide. So we want the seam allowance to be pointing upwards, like so. So it's like this. Can you guys see that? And then we're going to use that seam allowance as a guide to fold this over top. So there will be a raw edge on the inside. So make sure you are using a non-fraying fabric to do this. But you will not have that raw edge on the front side. And I'm just going to use some clips to hold that in place. Super fast. No edge painting required. Unless you want to edge paint the inside, but really we don't need to do that. So you can see there how nice that edge is going to look, and I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch right along that top edge. And we have enough overlay here that it should catch both sides. You just want to make sure it is catching both sides. You can see I've caught both sides. You can see it's, oops, can you see it's longer here, but we'll take care of that momentarily. Okay, back to the table. Oopsies. Okay, so now I'm going to take my scissors. So this is what we got. Oopsies. See how nice that edge looks there? It's a nice finished edge. Raw edge on this side, but that's okay. So we're going to trim this up so it's even without cutting the fabric. Just cutting off the excess vinyl like so. And then you're just going to take your scissors and within 1/8 of an inch away on the back side, you're just going to trim it up. And if your scissors are nice and sharp like mine are, you should be able just to glide it. I don't know how I came up with this. It just ended up, it's been the thing I've been doing lately. So oopsies. And I'm liking it. So definitely got to write a tutorial on that. So that's the wrong side. That's the right side. I just think it looks so nice. So I'm not going to do it here. We'll do it for homework, and I don't think I need to show it on camera. But you're going to take, where is it? Here's my pocket. So you have homework. We did our zipper pocket, leaving the bottom open for turning. This is where I melted it. And then this you're just going to place nice and centered following the curve and where she places it in the thing. And you can make it a double pocket if you want to. And then of course I will do my rivets. Okay, so you could do that, and then this will be all finished when we go to do the pre-recorded final class. What do you guys think of that? Do you like that? It's fast, hey? All right. So let's do my least favorite part first. So we are going to skip ahead, or maybe skip back. I know I'm jumping all over the place. To page 6 of the pattern. So we're going to need our back piece. If my outside noise is too loud, please let me know. We're going to need our zipper pocket facing. We're going to need our pattern piece, our zipper, and our zipper pocket lining pieces. So, okay. So this piece should be, when you lay this piece down like this, the cutout of our fleece should be on the same side. We're going to use this pattern piece as a guide. Stop me if I'm going too fast. I'm going to first find my top center, because I didn't on this one. It looks like I did, but I covered it up with the overlay. I'm going to just trim my interfacing off of my facing. Okay. So we're going to clip this on just with clips. Make sure we're nice and centered, everything is in place, because this piece really is great for helping us place our facing perfectly. So just clip the pattern piece onto that side. When you feel through, you should be able to feel that it's falling. Mine's not, but I'm not worried about it. The fleece opening on the bottom, but that's okay. Fleece isn't too bad. So you want this to hold really well, because we're going to be using this as our guide. Okay, I'm going to set that aside for now. We're going to grab our zipper pocket facing piece, and on the wrong side, I didn't cut out my rectangle. All I did was did little slits on the end there. So I'm just going to draw out those slits. Where's my pen? What did I do with you? There you are. Just like so. And then I'm going to draw in between those lines. So these should be about a 1/2 inch wide opening here. Just like that. And while I'm here, I'm also going to draw out 3/8 small line. It's just like doing a zipper pocket with facing. This is I will admit, my least favorite way of doing a zipper pocket, but on an exterior of a bag, unless you want to put an overlay there, it's the only way to do it. And then in between those 3/8 lines, we're going to draw a 1/4 inch line, and we're going to draw our V's out. from the center line to those corners, like so. I interface this one, as you can tell, and that's where this comes into play. So I'm going to have my pin piece that is held stable with our clips, right sides together, and we are going to match this rectangle with the rectangle in the pattern piece, like so. And what this is doing is making it so we have perfect straight placement for this pocket as per the pattern. So that looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is just take some pins. I think I can move it over just a smidgen. And I'm going to just put it right through the center. If you're using vinyl, this is okay to do because we're going to be cutting this part away, just to hold that facing in place. So I'm going to use 2 pins. But you guys will see me struggle with this. I have the hardest time making facings look neat and tidy. It is just a Brandy thing, I guess. It's not my favorite way. But I'm using a black lining or a black facing, so I'm hoping it doesn't show too much if it doesn't look really neat and tidy. So once you have that facing in place, you can go ahead and take away the pattern piece. Just like that. So now we're going to go ahead and we are going to sew around this rectangle, just like we would for a regular zipper pocket. Okay, so let me go. If I'm going too fast, please do stop. Okay. So all the way around that rectangle. Now you will see me when I come to the corners. I always do back stitches at those corners because for some reason, sometimes I get, I don't know, I just like them to be really tight corners. Sometimes my thread kind of looks stretched if my needle wasn't down in the exact same way. So you'll see me come to the first corner. I'm going to make sure my needle falls into that first corner and comes part way up, and then I'm going to back stitch 2 and forward 2. Oops. I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to go forward 2, back 2. I always do this. This is just a habit I've gotten into, and it just makes it so those corner seams stay nicely for when we go to turn this out. At least I hope it does. Okay, go all the way around. Coming to the next corner. Do you guys know what I mean? Sometimes when those corners, the thread looks like it's pulling funky. I find this makes it not do that. Still does sometimes, but all the way to meet up and back stitch. Oh, actually I did make it into my cutout. Sweet. I did good. Okay. Come on, camera. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay. So this is what that looks like, and it should fall within the fleece. I cut my fleece square kind of wonky, but it did fall within where the fleece cutout was. If it didn't, you can definitely cut away some of the fleece, or if your machine can handle thicknesses, then I wouldn't even worry about it. Fleece isn't really super thick anyways. Just know your machine and you'll know what to do. Okay. So now what we want to do is I'm going to go in with my rotary cutter. I'm going to start just slightly after these 3/8 lines and just cut along that straight line. And then go in with my scissors to the line and then out in the V's in the corners without cutting my threads. You want to get as close as you can to get nice clean corners. And that's what I struggle with. My corners are never nice and clean when it comes to these. That's why I use kind of a lining fabric or a facing fabric that matches, because then it kind of blends. Same with the other side. Okay. And then what we're going to do, and I'm sad because I can't iron this like I thought it was, so it's like I'm using almost like a vinyl facing, but we want to push the facing to the opposite side like so to bring these wrong sides together. Like so. So I am actually going to use some double-sided tape to help me here, just because I can't take this to the iron. So you would go like this, you would give it a nice press if you can press it, but I don't think I can press either of these fabrics, so I'm not going to risk it to get a nice clean edge. So I know my machine isn't sensitive to double-sided tape, so I am going to use my double-sided tape as my pressing agent, just so I can get nice and crisp lines or a seam. Where is the end of it? Stop me if I'm going too fast, please. Okay, so I'm just going to put it within the seam allowance of this. And then you can see I can just kind of manipulate it and stick it down so I have a nice and crisp seam there. Okay, so that did for the top part. I should have did the bottom part first with my double-sided tape because it's pulling it up, so I'll just put some under there. And again, if you have an iron, or if you can finger press it really good, but I'm doing this. You do you. You know what you like to do, so. Okay. Push it down like so. There we go. See, it's kind of folding it down. Let's do the opposite side. Do the exterior seam first. Press it down, and then do the lining one. Come on. My hands don't want to work. Oh my gosh, come on. There we go. That's the two sides, and then I just got to do the short side. So you can kind of see how nice that's looking. And the short sides, I'm actually just going to put it along like so. And just pull it nice and tight. Doesn't have to be perfect on this side. You just want to make sure your corners look good. Mine don't look perfect, but they're not bad. See how using the black kind of camouflages my imperfect corners, which works for me. I'm happy with that. Handmade does not mean perfectly made. It means quality, and each one is slightly different based on the quirks of how we made it. Okay. So that is what we got so far. Again, you can see mine's not perfect, but it looks okay, so I'm happy with that. I am actually going to take my ruler and just set it down like that so it kind of pulls everything in place. And then we're going to prepare our, oh, the light's kind of shining on that, our zipper linings, just like we would for any zipper pocket. I'm just going to clean out my interfacing here. Now we are not leaving the bottom or the bottom of this open. This will be a fully closed pocket. We are using the lining pocket to turn the bag. So that one has an open bottom. Okay. So again, use clips or use tape depending on what your machine is sensitive to. And make sure you're working with the long edge of these pockets. Put along the top. Right side up, right side up. I've got my zipper already. It's also right side up. It's a little bit longer, that's okay. Stick it up right side up. We're going to go and baste through here with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then we're going to put this one on the opposite side at the machine as well. Okay, so let me flip over. All right. So baste the first side on. And then with the unsewn side, we're going to kind of flip our zipper pocket out like this. So now our lining is face down and our zipper is right side up. We're going to take the other lining piece, have it right side up, and bring the other side of the zipper up along there, making sure they are nice and even, and stick it down. So when you're holding it like this, you should see the wrong side on both sides of the zipper pocket lining. We're going to go ahead and sew across there with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay. I know that's mainly review for everybody. Okay, now you can go ahead and open this up and press it. I'm not going to press it. I'm just going to kind of finger press it because my iron's not warmed up. But you can press it. And I'm going to just kind of even up my zipper tape a little bit with my linings. Okay. Now we're bringing back this piece. Now we want to make sure, we want to place this in such a way that our zipper pull is closing upwards. So it's going to look like this with your zipper pull going up. We're going to take our exterior piece, and on the back here, you can hold it in place if you like. I use double-sided tape, and this, we're doing this exactly like we do when we're doing a zipper pocket with overlay. It's got the facing instead. So we're going to put some double-sided tape on this side. If your machine is sensitive to double-sided tape, just make sure it's outside of the 1/8 of an inch where we will be top stitching, and then you will have no issues because you won't be sewing through it. Okay. Okay. So now this is how I think about it. We have the zipper pull going up, and it's going to be faced on like this, so the zipper pull is going up. But it's hard for me to work on it like that, so once I have it in place and my zipper pull is going up, I know this is my top side, I'm just going to rotate my piece like so. I'm going to take the tape off of the very top when it's facing this way. Just make sure your zipper pull is going the right way. And I am going to stick this down on the tape until I'm satisfied with it. Make sure you leave enough on each side that we'll be able to close up the sides of our zipper pocket, of course. You kind of got to feel to make sure it's nice and centered. And then stick it down, making it nice and even. So we have an even amount of zipper tape showing, and that base stitch we just did to put the linings on are hidden. Make sure we have enough on each side here that we'll be able to close up our zipper, and I do. When you're happy with the top, go ahead, take the paper off of the bottom and do the same thing on the opposite side of the zipper. I like the tape because it's really easy to make it so your zipper is completely and totally straight. You could also use glue here if you preferred, or a glue stick, as an Elmer's glue stick works really well, but you have to let the glue dry. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and we are going to top stitch all the way around that rectangle, making sure that our linings are fanned out like this because we don't want to accidentally sew that pocket shut. I am going to be pulling my threads long and not back stitching and tying them off in the back, because that's what I like to do for a nice and seamless line. Okay, so let's go do that. Okay, top stitching. So I'm going to pull my threads long. Make sure I'm fanned out. Make sure every, oops, I've come apart. Don't come apart. There we go. I can tell my seams are going to be really thick here. Holy moly. So hold on to your threads, especially if you're on an industrial. You don't want them to get sucked in. We want to pull them long. Hold on to them. And then start stitching it in place. No back stitching if you're holding your threads long. Make sure it's far enough away from the zipper teeth. Ooh, I'm close. But I think it'll be okay. When you come to the end, make sure your needle is down. To pivot, I'm just going to double check that this zipper can get past that. Yeah, it can. I'm okay. Okay, go down the other side. Pivot. While I'm here, I'm going to reach under, pull on that starting bobbin thread to pull my top thread through and pull it through to the back. And then continue on. This fabric does not like to stick to the double-sided tape. It's causing me a headache here a little bit, but that's okay. Move your zipper pull out of the way if you have to. Make sure your needle is down before you do that. Get in there. Just as you go like I am if you have to. Pivot. Am I using the right zipper tape that I was using before? I am. Okay. I just had this fear that I was using a different zipper tape, but no, this is right. And as I come to that starting stitch, I'm going to make sure my needle lands in that same starting hole. I'm not going to back stitch. You're more than welcome to if you want to, but I'm not going to. Make sure it lands. Oops, I got to go one more. In that same starting hole. Pull it out, pull your threads long, hold on to them so you know which one is your bobbin thread, because sometimes it's hard to figure out which of the threads in the back are. Flip it over, grab your bobbin thread, give it a little tug, and pull that top thread through, and tie those 4 strands off in 3 or 4 knots. We're going to finish this pocket off at the machine as well. I'm going to give my threads a little bit of a burn because I'm using a bonded thread just to kind of create a little extra knot there. Oh, hot. Okay. I'm going to quickly make sure my zipper opens and closes properly. And it does. And now we're going to flip it over. And you want to bring these inwards like that so it's on the inside of this. I'm going to quickly trim up these lining panels to make them even. So I'm going to grab my scissors quickly. Thank you, Rhonda. Again, it's kind of a vinyl-y type speckle in it, and I learned the hard way with my iron. It's a Sam Fabrics upholstery fabric, I guess. I've never felt anything quite like it. Okay, so I got that all trimmed up. Now we're going to flip this so it's right side up, starting at one side of the zipper. And you're going to fold it up. We're going to catch the zipper. We're going to go down, making sure the exterior is out of the way, down, across, and up to close up that pocket. So again, you're going to fold this up. I'm folding back the excess overlay there as well. You could probably sew through it if you wanted to. When I come to the zipper teeth, I'm going to just do a back stitch over them just to give a little bit of an extra stop. Just for my own reassurance. You're just going to move this exterior out of the way as you work your way around. I'm doing about a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can do whatever you like. And up the other side. And back stitch. And that is done. That wasn't as painful as I thought it would be. We're doing a pretty good time. How are you making out, Diane? Next, what we want to do is we just want to trim up those seam allowances. Reduce some bulk. You can trim up, you don't have to. You can trim up this overlay if you wanted. I'm not going to worry about it. You probably don't even have to trim these seam allowances if you don't want to. Completely up to you. How are we doing for time? 3:40. We're doing pretty good. Okay, so that is the back. We have a pocket that should go all the way through to this side. So that piece is done. All good? Perfect. Do you need a few minutes or can I move on to the next? What we're doing right now is kind of the speed that I sew. Usually I prepare all the pieces I can, then take them to the machine and do all the sewing I can and back and forth. And normally I will work on like 3 or 4 things at the same time because I'm crazy like that. Okay. So that is the back panel done. Okay. So we're going to now do some pleating. Now how we're going to do this pleating, you are also going to do the exact same thing for the lining pieces. I won't show that on camera unless we have time to do it later, but that would have been what homework would have been for the next class, but we will do it together on these. So you'll notice at the bottom of our pattern piece, there's 2 lines. What I did was I just cut little slits into those lines just so it's easier to transfer the markings. So what am I going to want to use to mark on here? Probably some chalk maybe. Where's my chalk? So you want to line this up once again. Should I see? Oh, she does it on the wrong side, doesn't she? Let me look. Okay, let's do it on the wrong side, then I can use a pen. So you're going to line this up, make sure it's nice and centered, and we are going to transfer those marks. Just like so. I'm going to flip the pattern piece over. See my 2 marks there? And do the same on the opposite side. And make your marks. And we're going to do the same on the other side. And you guys will do the exact same thing with the lining panels. This is kind of what gives it that kind of cushiony hobo bag look. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to kind of start at the center here. We're going to kind of pinch so that line is in the middle, and we're going to fold it towards the center approximately 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to hold mine with clips. She just did it in the pattern as she went, but I thought this was safer. So pinch 1/4 of an inch, hold with clip, do the same with the other one towards the center, pinching so the line will be kind of the center of the pinch, and then bring it over. And those who do garment sewing are probably better at this than me. We're going to do the same with the opposite side, but we're going to go again towards the center. So pinch about 1/4 of an inch, bring it over. Hold in place. pinch, and hold it there. It's very dexterous, like my dexterity is not very good here. So you can kind of see what it's doing. It's giving it kind of that pillowy type of look. Do the same with the opposite one, and then we'll go base them at the exact same time at the machine. So pinch towards the center. And clip. Pinch towards the center. And clip. Same with the opposite side, pinch towards the center. Clip, pinch. And you want to make sure you're not pinching too much, otherwise it can make the piece too big or too small for, well, if you don't pinch enough, it'll be too big for the gusset. If you pinch too much, it'll be too small for the gusset. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to base just those pleats in place. We're going to base the pleats in place. Say that 10 times fast. And again, for homework, before the pre-recorded class, you would go ahead and do the same thing on the lining pieces once you finished all your pockets. Okay, so let me flip us around. Okay. So because it's kind of curvy and kind of awkward, I'm going to base these in place with about 1/4 inch seam allowance. A little bit bigger so it holds. Oops, see, and I lost it already. Pinch. I'm going to get my new stiletto. I got this new stiletto from So Magical Expo. I didn't buy very much, but I did buy this. So, bring this out, pinch. I'm going to hold that with my stiletto in place. Nope. I'm not. Okay. And again, you guys are probably better at this than me. I know many of you are garment sewers, and I am not. I want to learn. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to get my stiletto in there, and somehow I'm going to use my magnet to hold my threads so they don't get sucked in. This isn't as hard as it looks, I swear. It's just an awkward movement for me. And I backstitch over my pleats just a little bit, just to make sure that they're nice and secure. Hold this in place again. Backstitch. And I'm just going to continue across the bottom here, rather than breaking my thread. To the other side. Backstitch. Don't have to backstitch. In my head, it just makes me think it's going to hold it better. So I'm going to. Okay. So one side done, you can see how it kind of gives it that rounded look. The other side. Get started. Oh, come on. Almost losing it. There we go. Coco says hi. Oops, I lost it. It's because we're pinching such a very little bit, it's hard. And then trying to sew it on a curvy surface, or curvy piece. There we go, got it. So again, you would repeat that exact same process with the lining pieces. Put this away. All right. You like my stiletto? There we go. There we go. Lots of tongue twisting going on tonight for sure, hey? Okay, so I'm going to take a breather. Diane, let me know when you're all done that, and then we will move on to the next parts. Just get my bearings to figure out where the heck I am. Okay. And these. It's a quiet group, only the, what, 4 of us today. Ready anytime? Oh man, that means I have to work. Okay. So I've been going nonstop since 8 a.m. this morning. Crazy. Busy, busy. Okay, so now let me figure out where my brain is. Okay. Which one are we doing? Okay, so we've already drawn our center lines on our top sides and our bottom side straps when we were cutting them. If you haven't done that, go ahead and do that now. And we are going to do a fun blue Calla way of doing this. And this is a typical blue Calla strap. She does her straps this way. You could do these connectors in the traditional way, but I think this is a really fun thing to learn, a new technique. So I figured we would go ahead and do her decorative stitching here. So we're going to work with our top side straps first. So you can put these bottom side straps away. You're going to need your, which ones am I using here? I'm looking. 1 sec. You're going to need 1 rectangle ring and 1 D-ring per each of these. So 1 rectangle, 1 D-ring. I'm just going to pull them out. 1 rectangle and 1 D-ring. Okay? So each one has a rectangle ring and a D-ring. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our D-ring and we're going to slide it on like that. We're going to take our rectangle ring and we're going to slide it on like so. Do the same with the other one. Slide it on. I know it looks crazy, but trust me. Yes, my husband is making supper for me. He said I still haven't recovered from my flights to So Magical. I nearly died when they canceled my flights home. They canceled all my flights except for the Calgary to Kamloops one, but thankfully was able to get flights with United Airlines. So I swear, I flew all over the US between missing my connection in Calgary. I got to go to LA and then Atlanta and then Florida. And then the way back, I got to go from Florida to Houston, Texas to Calgary to Kamloops. It was crazy. Too much for me to handle. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to flip our piece so it's right sides together. And we're going to bring together the 2 short ends like so. So you're forming a loop that has our hardware all hanging out here. Do the same with the opposite one. Bring together right sides together our 2 pieces like so. So this is why we put the hardware on already, because we are working in a loop. Let me just double check.
Sorry, oh, I don't know that one.
Alexa scared me. So we are going to sew across these lines with a... Oh, that's Alexa, you guys. I don't know what she's doing. That was really spooky. Did you hear that? I think it's because I said her name and then scary, and then she tried to scare me. That was really bizarre. Anyways, squirrel much. We're going to sew across here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and while we're at the machine, I'm going to open up those seams So they're butterflied out, and then we're going to top stitch those seams in place with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Okay, so we're going to do both at the same time. I don't know what's going on with her. That was bizarre. Okay. Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to kind of chain sew these and do them at the same time. So I'm going to go across with a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance through one. And then I'm going to do my other one just so I don't have to cut my thread at the same time. And showing you a little bit how I sew when I'm not teaching, just when I'm sewing just for the sake of my sewing or making whatever. Cut them apart. Time savers, even if it's just like 2 seconds, really helps. Okay, now we're going to be kind of sewing in a loop, so we're going to press, can you guys see this? Press the seam open, like so. We're going to hold it in place with our hands, and then on the inside here, we're going to top stitch down either side of that seam to hold that seam in place. So just be very aware of where your seam is butterflied out. Oops. And top stitch down each side. So I'm going to start at the top of one. And you're kind of doing it in a loop, but it's not hard. Maybe a little awkward, but it's not hard. So start with one. And this seam is not going to show so much in the actual connector. You'll see why. Now rather than breaking my thread, I'm going to kind of just pivot at the bottom, go across 1 or 2 stitches, pivot again, and then go up the other side. So that side's done, and I'm going to do the same. Again, I'm going to kind of, actually I'll break my thread. I'm going to confuse everybody. So you can see the seam is top stitched open and it's top stitched on this side. I'll do the same with the opposite one. Butterfly open. Come on. This is my hands are not working. Here we go. There we go. Pivot. And stitch over. Pivot. And finish it off. Okay. I don't know, she's freaking me out. Okay, so this is what we got. It looks good. Now we're going to take some double-sided tape. I'm going to use my 1/2 inch double-sided tape. You can either, if you have thinner double-sided tape, you'll probably want to put it along the outsides. I'm using a thicker one, so I'm going to just put it nice and centered along these center lines. So I'm going to just kind of, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't remember which way I did it. Oh, let's do it this way. And I'm going to put my tape along that line going all the way around. Holy cocoa beans. School's out now. Okay, I did it this way. I was obviously working with something with green thread. All around that center line. You'll move that hardware out of the way as you move around. You'll be moving that hardware a lot. Oops, sorry, I'm outside of camera here. I need to move this up like this. There we go. So just kind of maneuver it and move your hardware until your tape matches up on the opposite side. So it's not the quickest way of doing connectors, but the end result is so beautiful that it's worth the extra time. Okay, And then what we're going to do is we're going to fold those long edges into that center line. So I like to start where the seam is that we just sewn and put it into the middle so I can make sure it matches nicely. And then just gradually work your way around that first side, pushing it down to that center line. Kind of weird working in a loop. Again, you have to kind of move your hardware out of the way as you go. Seems weird, but it will all make sense. Okay, oopsies. Once you're done the one side, you'll go ahead and do the opposite side too. Okay, more hardware out of the way again. Bring it in. You could also put clips here to hold it if you wanted to. Hold it in. Hold it in. You'll do the same with the opposite piece, other side. Okay, all the way around. Okay. So yes, this is how I worked it. So I have it so my wrong side is facing up and my right side is facing in. I found that was the easiest way to sew it. For the seam is, I'm just going to put some clips to hold that in place while I do the exact same thing with the other connector. Does that make sense? Many of Blue Calla's patterns are done like this, so it is so beautiful. It truly is. I don't always do it when I do a Blue Calla pattern, honestly, because I'm probably a little lazy and I just want to get her done. And my clients like the consistency of how I do my bags, like they know what to expect. And I don't want them to expect me to do this fancy way all the time because it's time consuming when I'm trying to production sew. I'm terrible, I know. But I'm honest. Okay, there's my tape matches up. Oopsies. Okay, start at the seam, fold into the middle, and then slowly work your way around. Double-sided tape is definitely your friend doing this though, but there is a chance you will sew through it. I know everybody that's making this today don't have problems with double-sided tape, so. You use Dritz Wash Away Wonder Tape here. You could also use some glue if you wanted. Okay, and now we're going to go ahead and do the opposite side. Holding it in. Okay, so now we're going to take this to the machine. I'm going to just again put some clips here. And we are going to go around and we are going to top stitch each side with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now the reason we're doing a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance is when we go to put this on the sides of the bags, we are going to sew those on with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So this is going to give us a really, really pretty top stitch. So you can see on this one, see how there's the, can you guys see that? There's the two lines. That is what we're going for. So let's go ahead and do that. 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And we're going to be kind of sewing in a circle. So I like to start right about where the seam is because I'm going to back stitch, but that seam we're going to end up positioning it into the back of the connector so we will not see it. So I'm going to start just a little bit before. Put my thing here for 3/8 because I want to get a nice straight line because this will be very visible in our bag and it's a very decorative attribute. So you can see I'm in a loop and I'm sewing onto my right side. My wrong side is facing up and inside the circle is my right side. Now you're going to be going and moving your hardware out of the way as you go. You don't want to sew through it. So, oops, I didn't check my tension. Hopefully it's okay. We'll see how it is when we get going. How's my tension? I think I'm okay. So you can see how I'm moving my hardware as I sew. My tension's good. Move, and I kind of just push this flat. Move it, make sure my hardware's out of the way. And back stitch, and then go ahead and do the same with the opposite side. It over so you're working with the opposite. Make sure your back stitching's on the same side of the seam that your previous back stitching was, so we can hide it in behind the connector here momentarily. And work it out. Signature blue Calla beautifulness. Okay, so that is one done. We're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing with the other one. Okay. So where's my seam? Where are you? Where are you? There you are. Inside down. Same with the opposite side. Get over there. Okay. Oopsies. Okay. Cut off all my stray threads. That's that. How was that, Diane? So many components of this bag, but it's so beautiful. I'm so glad this one got voted in because it's not a typical bag that I would have made usually, I don't think. I really love it. It's good? Okay. So now, what we want to do is we want to make sure we want to kind of flip this right side out. You probably have to flip your D-ring around so the curvy side or the flat side is against the wrong side. That's easy to do. Now we want our D-ring to be at the top of the connector, and we want this connector, like where the seam is, to fold to the back by at least, what is that, 1 1/4-ish inches. So I have the seam folded to the back by 1 1/4-ish inches. I want my D-ring to be at the top of that like that, and my rectangle ring to be at the bottom like that. Okay, so you can see there's my seam is about 1 1/4-ish inches down. Okay, I'm just going to put a clip right here to hold each of these. And then what I'm going to do is take some double-sided tape just enough that I'm putting it on the wrong side in between these, right along the center. So even if your machine doesn't like double-sided tape, you will not be top stitching. Well, you may top stitch down the center. So I won't say you won't catch the double-sided tape, but it'll only be when you go crosswise. So I leave it up to you if you want to use it. And then I'm going to use that double-sided tape. You can also just go ahead and hold it like this and clip it, but this just makes it easier for attaching to the sides when we do it. So then you're going to take that tape off, not the tape, the paper, and you're going to make sure that you're going to kind of stick the wrong sides together of that loop, making sure they're nice and even and straight with one another. And then you end up having something that looks like this. Okay, so the wrong side is where the seam is. Now on the wrong side, we're going to take a small piece of double-sided tape, and we're going to keep it away from these top parts by at least 1 inch. This is just going to help us stick it to our bag when we're sewing it. So just like so. And then on this side, if I can find my ruler, from our hardware, we are going to mark, what did I do here? 1 inch down from where the curve of our hardware, like where it folds over our hardware. Measure 1 inch down and draw a line, and that is going to be a guide that what we're going to sew across when we go to connect these. So this is what the piece should look like right now. Do the same with the opposite side. So flip it around. D-ring on the top, rectangle ring on the bottom. Fold back that seam to the back side by 1 1/4-ish inches. It's noisy across the street. My neighbor's water main broke, so they're working out there. Okay, oops. Another one bites the dust. I always sing that song when I lose a clip. Okay, so again, some more tape to help hold it in place. That's Dexter saying hi now. Okay. And then I'm going to draw my 1 inch lines. Just like that. Set those aside for now. Those are all ready to go. Next, we're going to work on our bottom sides, and these are going to go a lot faster because we're going to do them similar to what we do with a regular connector. We got our, I'm going to make that a little more even. We have our middle lines drawn. You can take double-sided tape, either put it along the long edges or down the center, depending on the width of your tape. My tape is a mess. It's stuck to everything. You can use clips as well. I was a lazy cutter, my oh my. And then fold all of those long edges into that center line. So just like what we usually do for regular connectors. Opposite side. Oh, that's a noisy plane. Okay, same with the opposite one. And then we are going to top stitch these with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, not an eighth, a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance down each of those folded sides. Okay. Onto the side panels with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, so it gives us two nice lines of top stitching without sewing over top of our top stitching. So 3/8. And I'm going to chain stitch these again. Go with my other one. And rather than breaking my thread on this last one, I'm actually just going to go across the bottom at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, over, and then go up the other sides. Just like so. Easy peasy. Cut those apart. Clean this up a little bit. Look at this mess, hey? Okay, let me refresh myself here. Okay. So now what we want to do is on the top side of these, we want to measure in 2 1/4 inch, I believe. Double check. I just checked and now I've forgotten already. My brain's getting tired. 2 1/4 inch. Just from one side. Draw a line. 2 1/4 inch. And draw a line. Okay. And I'm just going to take a little bit of double-sided tape and put it along the top. So where that 2 1/4 inches, we're just going to put it a little piece just like so on the wrong side. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these connectors. So now we're working with the rectangle ring side. We're going to put the connectors right sides together like so. Put it through the rectangular ring. Take off that tape, or that paper off the tape, and right at that 2 1/4 inch line that we drew, that's where we want to fold it over the rectangle ring like so. And then use that tape to hold that end down. Make sure it's nice and even. So this is what we end up having. And then on this side, for when we go to attach this, just like we did with this piece, we're just going to take a small piece. I'm going to make it so it kind of overlaps this, so it kind of helps hold it down a little more, but you don't want it to go too far up. I'm going to put that down the center. That's going to help us attach that to the side panel. So this is, and then from this rectangle ring, again, to this side, we're going to measure down 1 inch and draw a line. Again, those are sewing guidelines for when we attach this. Do the same with the opposite one. So again, This is both facing up. We have our rectangle ring down. Bring them right sides together. Take the tape off, or the paper off the tape. Put it through the ring. Fold it down at that 2 1/4 inch mark. And stick it down. Nice and even. And then a small piece of tape on the back side, just barely overlapping this edge, and that'll just help it keep it in place a little longer, like so. And then measure that 1 inch. Now, I can't remember if I gave homework to put the foam on or not. I didn't do it, so I'm going to do it with you guys. But this is what we have so far, are these 2 pieces. And now we have to prep our side gusset pieces. So you're going to take your 2 exterior side gusset pieces. At the same time, we're going to take our exterior bottom piece that we have our purse feet on, and we are going to baste these with foam. I think I have some foam down here. I hope I have enough, because I don't, yeah, I do. I've got my scrap bucket of interfacing down here. So here's my pretty and pink sew foam. All my scraps of it. Do I have enough for this? Oh yeah, look at that. I love it when I can use up scraps. It makes me so happy. So I always use, and I know that the people in here know what I do here, is I lay this down and I cut my foam slightly bigger by like a 1/4 inch-ish. It doesn't have to be exact, just a little bit bigger than our piece. And this is so we can trim the foam in a little bit to take some of the bulk out of those seam allowances. And you'll see what I mean here momentarily. So just a little bit bigger, hold it with clips. And we're going to do that for the 2 gusset pieces and this bottom piece. We will be basting around the exterior piece with 1/8 of an inch, but you should have a little bit of foam hanging over. This is a trick that Anna of Galaxy Kustoms taught me. And it's a trick they use in upholstery, because she is an upholsterer. And it just helps get a nice seam, because you'll see when we do it. I know we've done it before. I know the people in today already know what I'm doing, but for those watching, I know we don't always baste the foam on together, but when we actually do it, I like to show you this little trick. So go ahead and do the foam for these pieces, as well as the 2 side gusset pieces. Is this one long enough? Not quite. Back into the scrap bucket. Okay, so again, I just kind of cut around the foam, making it a little bit bigger, just slightly bigger than the piece. And what it does is it's giving us something to grab onto when we trim this foam back a little bit. I'm a foam girl. I love sewing with foam. Okay. It's just a rough cut, slightly bigger. Okay, one more piece. Get it right here. There it is. And this is the reason why I don't cut my foam out at the very beginning. I actually kind of consider it part of the exterior assembly process, just because we cut the foam this way. This isn't how it's done in the pattern. This is a Brandy and Anna way. And those of you that buy mine and Anna's patterns and Pin It Up patterns, as you know I've announced, this is how we will be basting all of the foam on when we use foam. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and baste these on with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, following an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance within our pattern piece, like our exterior piece, not the foam. You're going to sew it following along there with an 1/8 of an inch. Oops. Another one bites the dust. Find all my clips die at the same time. Okay, so let's go baste these on. There's a nice long stitch. And baste them in within an 1/8 of an inch from our exterior piece there. Oh, somebody's car alarm's going off. So we're not doing this to the main panels because the main panels we have fleece on them, and that's what gives it that nice soft hobo shape. But having the foam in the gusset gives it structure at the same time as that nice soft hobo shape. So it's the best of all worlds. One piece done. Put that on the table. Oops, I missed a little bit there. I'm gonna go back in. I went a little bit rogue there. Man, I love pearl vinyl. I haven't said that yet today. I had to, but man, it's my favorite. Look how gorgeous it is. One more. I can't see the chat right now. I'll catch up as soon as I get back to the thing. I don't know if anybody's talking or not. I always mean to set my iPad up over here so I can see it, but I always forget. One day I'll remember. Oops, I gotta go back in. I went a little close there too. I can always tell when I'm getting tired because my stitches don't end up being straight. I'm going to go back up here where I missed part of it. Where are you? Right there. Okay, and I'll show you how I trim this foam back. Okay. Oh, nobody was chatting. I have a feeling they have forgotten to feed Coco and she's yelling at them upstairs because I'm the one that usually feeds her. Okay, so now you can see how it's overlaying, but when you have a little extra foam there, see how you can fold it back really easy away? So when you have it down like this and you kind of fold it back, you can take your scissors at a 45-degree angle, like so, and you can, see how I'm pulling it back here? You can trim this so nice and flat right along that stitching. And look, see how skinny it is compared to here? See? And that has taken a whole bunch of bulk out of that seam allowance there. So you're going to go ahead and do that with all these pieces. It's an ingenious trick that Anna taught me. And if it's good for an upholsterer, it's good for me. But yeah, look how thin that gets compared to how thick that is. Amazing, huh? It does, doesn't it, Rhonda? And I just love how skinny it gets. Because there's nothing worse than a bulky looking seam. So again, for those, see, that's trimmed. See how thin it is? compared to untrimmed, how thick the foam is. So yeah. So again, there's the excess here. I'm pulling it back and just trimming right along. It's almost right along the stitch line there. I can see how my scissors are like this, not like this, they're like this. And it just makes working with sew and foam so much easier, especially for machines that are a little bit sensitive to thicknesses. So look at the difference here. See the differences in thicknesses compared to trimmed and untrimmed? It's crazy. Yes, Anna learned that in upholstery school and she taught it to me, and I incorporate it into anything with foam, and with mine and Anna's pattern company, it's incorporated into our patterns, even though we just have one pattern that hasn't been released yet. Will be released soon, October 14th, 2023. That's a little bit of a plug. But yeah, it's what upholsterers do. It's perfect. It's perfection. And it really doesn't take that much time, but it definitely gives the seams a much more seamless, less bulky, and professional look. So I think it is definitely worth it. And you can see it's not wasting that much foam. Like, this is just the excess. It's like a quarter-ish of an inch. That's it. Worth it. Completely worth it. It's like taking a little off the top, right? I had never seen anything like it until she taught this trick to me. So yeah, always put this into any pattern you're using foam because it's so good. Oh, I think that's Dexter barking, but it sounds like he's outside. Must be at the side gate. There we go. Easy peasy. And this is all the waste. It's really nothing. All right. Okay, next. I may have done this a little bit wrong. I did. It's still gonna work. Usually we just sew this first part on, but we're doing it all in one shebang, okay? So in the pattern, she sews this top part on first and then connects this. I do it all at once. I just find it easier. So what we want to do is we want to take our side gusset. We want to find our top center by folding it in half and making our snip. How are we doing for time? We're doing okay. And our bottom center, making our snip. Same with the other one. We're just going to do these both at the exact same time. Snip. And snip. Okay, I've got to grab my 1-inch ruler. Bear with me for a moment. I'm going to walk over to my ruler wall. So from our, I probably shouldn't show you the pattern pieces. From the top is the narrow part. We want to measure down 1 inch centered. So that's why I like to use my little ruler here. I'm going to make sure this is definitely centered, 1.5, and it is. And I'm going to mark my 1/2 inch mark on my ruler down where that center mark is. I'm going to line it up 1 inch from that center. And I'm going to draw my 1 inch line right here. Okay. Same with the opposite one. 1 inch right here. Like so. Okay. Now that is a guide. So we have our D-ring on top. This part right here, so where it folds over, we want to line it up with that line. Oh, I didn't put tape on this one. Please hold. I forgot to tape on one. Okay. So I'm going to take the double-sided tape off of one side first. And I'm going to line it up nice and straight there, like so. And we are going to make sure this goes nice and centered down and stick it down. Same with this bottom piece. We want to make sure it's coming nice and centered with our notch here. And stick it down. Now, mine always end up being longer. That's okay. We can trim that up later. And stick it down with that tape. And then measure, or kind of take your ruler in and make sure you are definitely looking good. I think I am. I think that looks straight. Kind of just eyeball it. I think it looks straight. Do the same with the opposite side. Again, you can kind of finagle it to make sure it is nice and straight. Right down here, 3/4. Yeah, nice straight. Same with the opposite side. Again, I'm doing it all in one shebang. It's a little different than how the pattern does it, but I just find it's easier to do it this way because I can do all my sewing at the same time rather than stopping and adjusting and going again. But you can do what works best for you. Okay, so sticking that down. If you weren't doing double-sided tape, you may want to do these separate from one another. What was that? Oh my gosh, there's a deer right there. Right outside my window, there's a deer. Crazy. Hopefully it doesn't come in my window. Oh, Riley's chasing it away. Okay, pull that down. Make sure it's nice and straight. Okay, so we're going to start with this top section. So I'm going to be pulling my threads long, starting on one of the sides. We're going to stitch down, pivot at that 1-inch line across, back up, across that line, and then back down. I'm going to pull my threads to the back to tie them off. You can back stitch if you prefer, it's up to you. And then on this bottom piece, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to just go up from the bottom, across, and back down for both pieces at an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. And that's going to give us that decorative top stitching. Okay. I'm going to double check that I have enough thread here for this top stitching, and I do. Nothing worse than getting all the sewing done and you run out of bobbin thread. Okay, so I'm going to start with these top ones first. Again, I'm pulling my threads long because I'm going to be pulling them to the back, starting about halfway down one side and going down with an 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. Oops. This back down to 6.5, and here we go. Again, when you get to that 1-inch guideline, put your needle down on that line, kind of put your needle down and give it like a 1/4 turn coming up. Then you know it's going to catch that stitch and you're not going to have, like, you know, when it misses a stitch you have like diagonal thing. Pivot, go across that line, bring it up a bit, pivot. And kind of tuck in these sides if you want to so they're nice and even. Across. Down at that line, pivot. Before I go further, I'm going to tug on my starting thread and pulling my top thread through. Again, that's a big tongue twister in itself. It's just going to give us that nice and seamless top stitch. Come on. There we go. Almost there. There we go. Then when we come down the other side, now having that 1-inch mark, it totally bypasses our hardware, so we don't have to worry about protecting anything, which is great. And we're going to make sure that that stitch, last stitch, ends in our beginning stitch. Cool. So right there. Pull it long, hold on to those threads. Tug on the bobbin thread. The top thread through. tie it off. I'm going to burn those threads, and it will melt some of my foam there as well, because it always does. Okay, and then on this bottom side, I'm going to start at the bottom, second back stitch here. I'm going to back stitch 1/8 of an inch seam allowance up to that 1 inch line that we drew. Needle down at that line, pivot. Oh, I gotta go a little bit more. One more stitch. Needle down that line, pivot across, pivot, and down. And then we're going to repeat the exact same thing with the opposite one. So we'll get that done quickly. This is what it looks like so far. Looks pretty good. Coco says hi. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pull my bobbin thread to pull that top thread through again. Something that takes 10 seconds to do, and it just gives it a really, really beautiful look without that back stitching. Line, pivot, cross, fit, and then end in that starting stitch again. Oh, perfect. Pull it along, hold your threads. So I'll get that bobbin thread and then tie them off. Ooh, that caught fire a little bit. Living on the edge. I'm doing pretty good. Okay, so next we are going to take our bottom pieces. Well, first, so you can see what we look like here. We'll do rivets in a moment. We're going to trim up this bottom piece like so. Just the excess. Oh, look, I didn't sew this one. I'm going to go back and sew this one. I would have cried. One moment, please. Almost forgot. That would have been bad news. Bad news. Could have fixed it. There you go. Not a good step to forget. Back to where we were. So you can see how beautiful that stitching is. Now what we want to do is we want to take our bottom piece and the bottom, like so, we're going to form our gusset. So we're going to put these right sides together and clip in place. We're going to sew across here with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, I believe. Now I'm forgetting my seam allowances. I believe it was 3/8. Let's double check. Yeah, 3/8. Okay. We're going to sew through there with a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Open it up so the seam is pointing towards the bottom panel like so, and then top stitch to the bottom panel. And at the machine, we're going to do the same with the opposite side. So 3/8. Here we go. We're actually pretty close to being done. Now because I am using a thicker vinyl here, I am actually going to do a second row of top stitching. I think I could check to see. Yeah, because my stitches look a little bit stressed out there for that thickness, so I'm going to do another row of stitching within the seam allowance right next to that last one, like 1/8 of an inch. And it's just going to strengthen that seam so you can't see your thread stressed out. Just adds a little extra strength to it. And that's beautiful. I can't see them anymore. Now I'm going to fold this up so the seam allowance here is pointing towards the base, and we're going to top stitch through that base. Okay. Oh my gosh, so much trays. So it looks like that. Now we're going to do the same with the opposite side of the bottom and the opposite side piece. Okay. 3/8. Ooh, I smell. I think we're having manwiches and tater tots. I think that's what I smell out upstairs. You can tell when my boys cook. Okay, again, I'm going to go in with another. Again. And then hold it towards the bottom, and then top stitch. Get everything out of the way here. Sure we're all going the right way. There we go. You'll eat anything if you don't have to cook. Okay. What time is it now? 10 minutes. I think this is all we're going to do for today because the rest is getting pretty involved. So you can see this is our bottom piece. So homework before the pre-recorded class, you will want to put rivets in. I'll be putting my rivets. So where our cross lines were, I'll put one up here by the D-ring right in the middle, right about there. And one, and I just eyeball it. You can measure if you want. One on this side, here, and here. You see where my rivet dots are? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Can you see that? There it goes. Again, I just eyeball where I'm going to put them. I'll do the same on the opposite side. And of course, then you're also going to finish your lining pockets if you haven't done the lining pockets yet. And then make sure you do your pleats on the lining. And then all I have to show you in the pre-recorded class is putting all of the pieces together. And I swear it's going to be about an hour, probably max. It won't be too long. And I will get that up as soon as I possibly can. Now, I will be completely transparent here. If I do the class and you don't see my face, you totally know I'm in my pajamas with my hair in a messy bun and a makeupless face, and I won't show you that. So that very well may happen tomorrow because I still have to do all my laundry from when I went to Orlando. So it may be a plain Jane Brandy day, but I will try to get the class recorded in the morning and get it up, and then I can release, and then I'll be releasing the tutorial to the public side as well. So you're going to see this goes together very similar to most bags that we have made, and I will take it real time through the pre-recorded class. Again, the hardest part you're going to find is when we go to top stitch, because when we top stitch through here, it's super thick here. So again, yeah. You like sewing like that? Yes, so do I. I look forward to it. Today I'm kind of wearing, this is a sweatshirt I got when I was in Goderich in Ontario. So I'm pretty cash right now, mainly because my clothes are all dirty. So I haven't recovered. I think I have a little jet lag or something from not sleeping for a few days. So yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying this make so far. I'm very pleased with it. And yeah, coding class we will have completely done on Thursday. There's not that much to do. That bag is so incredibly fast. The tutorial for that is up, so make sure you check that out. And yeah, I'll get this class up as soon as possible. If it's not up tomorrow, it will be up by the end of the week. And then I have to start filming the tutorials for next week for the new classes. Lots of time sewing jammies. I really need to learn to garment sew. I really do. I think my serger doesn't work properly. I think that's what's frustrated with it. So I'm going to have my sister-in-law look at it and tell. I bought it for $20 off of the marketplace. Maybe it was $20 for a reason. Maybe I just need a new serger and to give it a go again. We'll see. All right. Well, thank you so much for sewing along with me, Diane, and Rhonda and Dawn for hanging out with us. Everybody watching this after the fact, again, the last class will be a pre-recorded class because I missed last week due to going to Sew Magical Expo, which we all knew. Make sure you go and get your patterns for next month's classes. They're all on the Facebook page and they're mentioned in the membership or in the community feed of the channel, because those coupons all expire the last day of the month. So you want to make sure you go and grab those if you haven't done so already. Also, the voting for November classes will be ending on the 30th. So if you haven't voted, please go and vote. And I will be announcing those on the 30th once I have coupon codes for those ones. And then for December's bags, it's teacher's choice for pre-recorded classes in December, because December and July I take off, but I still offer the classes. They will just be pre-recorded and I get to choose what patterns we are doing for those months. So that should be fun too. All right, everybody, have a great night. I will see you guys, most of you on Thursday, and everybody else I'll see next week. Bye, everybody. Thanks. Bye.